Today's video we're going to be creating office, home decor and organization. What you will need for this is a hot glue gun, a pair of scissors, craft paper, plywood or forex board or carton. I use plywood because that is what I had in the house. So you first of all start by marking out the width of your triangular shelf. I had mine as 10 centimeters. Carefully cut it out and smoothen the edges. So the next step is you take your ruler and you mark out the length of your triangular shelf. I had mine as 20 centimeters. And then you just cut it out. Once you have that cut, make 3 pieces of the same and then glue the 3 pieces to form a triangular shelf. So once you have that done, you take your triangular shelf and on a piece of craft paper, you outline the triangular shelf and then cut it out. This is supposed to form the backing of the triangular shelf and you can leave it as seen, but I personally wanted to have a different print at the end of my triangular shelf. So I found this fabric that I thought it had a beautiful print and I used it to form the backing of my triangular shelf. So you just take your piece of craft paper and you attach it to your fabric, then cut it out. And you need to make sure that you do this on the wrong side. So the next thing you need to do is you take your hot glue gun again and you attach your triangular piece to the back of the triangular shelf. So by now you obviously have your triangular shelf and the next step is pretty much optional, which is to make a compartment. So you take your forex board, or you can also use carton for this, and you mark out the width of your triangular shelf, which is 10 centimeters. And then once you have that done, you also mark out where you would like the triangular shelf to be, and then you just cut it out. I took my little compartment and then I covered it with the fabric that I had used earlier. So I cut off the excess. Once I had the excess cut off, I attached my compartment to the rest of my triangular shelf. So once you have that done, you take your hot glue gun again and you attach your 2 triangular pieces together. This is supposed to form the stationery organizer, particularly the pencil holder. So the next thing you need to do is you measure the distance between the 2 triangles and then you mark it out on your piece of forex board. So once you have it marked, you take your knife cutter again and then you cut the piece out, and the next step is you want to make the holes for the stationery that are going to be organized. So I just randomly drew some squares, or rather rectangles. You can basically use any shape, and then I cut it out. So once you have that cut out, you attach that piece to the top of your 2 triangular shelves, and then you would want a compartment that will allow the pencils to rest upon, or the stationery, or whatever it is you're going to organize. So I just use the same process that I used earlier, and then I attached my compartment between the 2 triangles. I then outlined my big triangular shelf to a piece of craft paper, and then I attached it to the back of my big triangular shelf. The next thing you would want to do is you cut off any excess, and you're done. And of course, and also remember to remove because sometimes the glue threads can appear on the triangular shelf. It's important to remove them, and then you put your pencils, and you're done. So what you need for this is forex board, knife cutter, glue gun, and leather fabric. So the first thing you need to do is you take your forex board. If you do not have forex board, you can also use carton, and then you just cut it into any shape that you want. Then using glue, you attach it to your leather fabric, then cut off the excess. Once you have it all cut, you can basically leave it as thin, but I personally wanted it to have a different look at the edges, and that is why I used ribbon, and then I just attached it using glue at the edges of my mouse pad, and then I did it all around, and that is what I was left with. So what you will need for this is carton box, pair of scissors, thumbtacks, and printouts. So the first thing you need to do is you take your carton box, and then you carefully wrap it up with some nice paper. I used brown paper for this. And then you take another piece of carton box, make 2 holes using your pencil, then take a piece of thread and you pass it through the 2 holes, then attach it at the back. Once you have that done, you take your glue and then you attach the small piece of carton box to the bigger piece of carton box. The smaller piece of carton box is the place where you're going to hang the inspirational board with, and then the bigger piece of carton box is where you're going to pin the printouts to that piece of board. You then attach it, and while it dries, you can take your printouts and you just cut them out nicely, and then you arrange them basically however you want on your piece of carton box. I personally consider this a random arrangement. I then took my thumbtacks and then I pinned them down to my carton.